My name's Todd Armstrong. A little bit more than 3 years ago, I decided to become a stand-up comedian. I never knew every word I'd say would be forever on the internet, and everybody would offer to give me really bad tattoos when I'm doing gigs in Montana. So I tried to merge the two ideas together of what are the permanent consequences of being a comedian, what it's really like to be from Portland, Oregon, and why the hell did you choose to get that tattoo? Are all questions we're going to ask here at Permanent Comedy with Todd Armstrong. Please join us. Hello, you're watching Permanent Comedy with Todd Armstrong. As with me always is Joanne Martian, Jerry Martian, and our guest Xander DeVoe. So how do you walk the line between alienating and being quote unquote edgy, or however you want to define it? Like, how do you keep from alienating while addressing the issue you feel at heart you need to?
You have to bomb a lot, and you have to have a lot of other comedians to tell you to get your shit together. Because when I started, I was everything that I hated. I did jokes about yeast infections. It's terrible and awful. And I would walk rooms and comedians would yell at me and I didn't get it. But that, like Christine Levine was one of the first comics to say, you know, if you focus on putting that energy into your actual life, which is actually dark and fucked up, it'll do your stand-up wonders. So comics, when they start, if they want to be a certain type of stand-up like Doug Stanhope or, you know, Louis, and they want to get away with saying things that are abrasive, they have to start with fucking getting knocked in the face by reality, like bombing, some comics not letting them do their mics.
Yeah.
It's the only way you can really find your angle on the subjects you want to talk about.
How would you define success in comedy for yourself?
Well, for me, is as long as I can pay my rent and eat, like,
that's it.
I'm stoked. Anything outside of that's just a bonus.
What's the best advice you'd give yourself? The first lesson you learned, the first bit of advice you've given yourself?
Enjoy silence.
Enjoy silence?
Yeah, because when you start, you know, all you see, whether it's in a special or a live comedy show, is laughs. And you think if you're not either talking or getting laughs, you're doing it wrong. But there's like quiet moments where the crowd's anticipating what you're gonna say next, like they're captivated. And you can like manipulate that into a joke that'll make them erupt. Like I wish I would have focused more on enjoying that when I first started. The quiet, like, they're not mad at you, they're stoked right now.
Yeah, they're leaning forward.
Yeah. My act that I do now was pretty much just an extension of myself. And it was a bunch of little things that just came together, you know? So like I was in Phoenix, Arizona, gay kid, was into punk music. Then I became a junkie when I lived in an anarchist bread factory collective. We made our own sourdough. We're freegans. And then the band broke up. Got into metal.
Most good stories end with the band broke up.
Moved to Portland. Googled, what can I do where I'm my own boss? Comedy came up, and then I did it.
That's hilarious.
And so everything else sort of just helps sustain what I do now.
Why is there a certain brand of comic that just is addicted to honesty? Just has to be, it's that weird pure.
Because it's our therapy, man. Like, any of the comics that do very personal and vulnerable comedy, they're doing it for themselves. I feel like with comics that do one-liners and stuff, those are people that are really desperate for attention, and they're there for the audience, not themselves. For, you know, me, it's like, I don't have insurance. I can't go talk to someone about my problems, but I can force it on a bunch of strangers that can't say shit about it, and I get to work through my own problems. And so for a lot of people, that's the only way that they can maintain life.
I one time got left in Butte, Montana in the middle of an ice storm with a bunch of Irish guys going, no, you're tough enough to find your hotel.
The weirdest situation, it was alcohol and cocaine, a mixture of both. A good mix. Excess and moderation. Doug Stanhope.
Medium quality of both.
This is like 2 weeks ago, me and Christine Levine, and she did my show. Spontaneous drug use is the only drug use that you should do. When you wake up and you're like, I need to do cocaine today, you gotta get your life together.
That point.
But if you leave a bar or a show and someone's like, hey, you wanna go do a line in the bathroom? Like, fucking, yeah, that's weird, awesome, let's go. So that happened, some weird dude with like a wizard's beard, just like light glowing at it, just gave us coke. He's like, good show. And we went, got high and drunk, and we went to a strip club. It was me, Christine Levine, this other comic that's a very large man, these two other comedians that are pretty thin, and this like ex-stripper that just kept pulling her tits out. And we just started making out with each other while surrounded by beautiful naked women, and it's just these gross, drunk, high comedians eating face. And no one brought it up. We just saw each other, and we're like, you're my friend, and I need you to know that I love you.
How hard is it to date being a handsome, articulate, pretty aggressive gay male?
Dude, I'm the last unicorn, man.
It seems to be. You were the
fucking
little...
it. This
I know.
is it. I want to fuck myself, and it doesn't exist.
No. You just call you narcissistic the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I at least want to go to Europe. The Swedes, man,
They won't give you back, man.
They got top shelf dude over there.
6'4".
Top shelf dude.
It's like Dolph Lundgren without the problem, you know?
Thin little Twinkie fairy fellas. Oh,
6'4", 195 pounds. That's what you want.
Great. Here, especially Portland's the worst city to be like my type of gay in, because it's all dudes that like
real good-looking 45-year-old guys, or
a lot of bears, or like just dance parties.
And dance party bears too.
Oh.
CC Slaughter's is a
And
fun
too,
place
like
to go
the
watch.
lisp is my kryptonite. Like if I meet a dude with a lisp, I can't do it. It's like you're a man and you're talking like a fuck. Get your life together. You're not. To me, the lisp is a choice. That's a calling card. It is. The lisp came from people in gay dudes in areas that I'm gonna fuck you, and then hopefully some other gay guy hears it and you go fuck in the bathroom. I get it. We live in a world where you don't have to talk. You don't need that anymore. Stop talking like you got punched in the mouth. Just don't. It's like the one thing that I can't stand.
I'm with you.
It's bigotry and then faggots with lisps. I hate it.
That was actually the most...
If me and Rob Halford can fucking talk like men, William S. Burroughs, the three best gays ever. I'm putting myself down.
Me.
You can fucking do it. You can
Xander the Great. Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart was gay.
Is he? No? Which one?
So, are you happy you moved to Portland? I know you're him and Han, but are you happy you moved to Portland?
I am. I am happy I live here.
How would you define Portland?
My mom said it the best. Portland is a city where it feels like you're on your third day of vacation every day. Right? Because you think about it, the first day, you're
just
straight up,
settling in.
you're posted in the hotel, maybe get a cocktail, hot tubbing, low key. Second day, you're doing all the touristy shit. Third day, you know your way around, you're freeballing it, and you're having a blast.
I might grab lunch here and there.
Portland is your third day of vacation every day.
I like that.
It's great.
That should be an ad campaign.
Dude, right?
What do you think the best way to grab folks' attention on stage is?
I mean, that's how I like to start. It's just kind of them wanting me to start smiling. You know, wanting me to enjoy being there, like making them work for my being invested in them and caring that they have a good night. When you start just scowling and like rolling your eyes and shit, dude, they get more into it. They're like, no, fuck you, man. We're cool. We can hang out. Like they want
to be your friend at that point?
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's how I like to open shows. It's fun. Because then if they don't care, and they're like, well, fuck you, then I'm like, oh, now we're going to have fun. You're my friends. I like that. And that's fun. That's like my favorite part of stand-up is just fucking, like, getting them in there. We're like, they think you're gonna bomb, like they're so waiting to just have a reason to walk, and you bring them out, and then you just keep doing it, because fuck them. They should have laughed at your one-liner. Find me on Facebook or Twitter, and every Monday night at Bar of the Gods in Portland, Oregon, I host a comedy showcase called Funny Humans. It's free, starts at 8.
I'm Todd Armstrong. With me is Joanne Martian, Jerry Martian, and our guest, Miss Christine Levine.
Hi.
So, Miss Christine Levine, you are getting a dog tattooed on your foot. Why are you getting this dog, and why?
Oh, okay. The arrow is from a movie called The Point that was made in like 1971 or something. And first, I think it was narrated by, one version's narrated by Ringo Starr and the other one's narrated by Dustin Hoffman. Anyway, so it's like, oh, god damn it. He hasn't even touched me yet. I just know. Anyway, and I watched it when I was a little kid. Oh, here we go. And, okay, the story is this boy named Obio, okay, was born in a village where everybody had to have a point on their head. Okay. And he was born with a round head. That's the name, Obio, right? And then they gave him this is his best friend, Arrow, and they hang out together, and then the meanies chase Obio and Arrow out of town because he doesn't have a point and he needs one to live there, right? Okay, so then Obio and Arrow go and try to find Obio's point, and then he comes back to town and he does have a point. Anyway, the whole point is that I watched this when I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I think it was my first, like the first time I watched something and I got it, like my first time I was ever conscious, where
Oh, you're present and aware of what's going on around
you. Yeah, well, I was just like, oh, I get it. There's, to have a point, you have to have a point. Oh my God. And I was just little tiny, and I was like, shit, I'm smart. Like, it was my first time where I knew I was here, and I was thinking, and I was getting something. I was understanding something that was like complicated. I thought it was so fucking smart. I was like, I get the double entendre. Like, there's a point and a point, and he's round, and he's got to have a point to be around. And then sometimes you just don't have to have a point. You're still okay.
A clever little 4-year-old.
Yes. Well, I don't know. It's just a clever little movie.
I mean, that's the same thing about comedy, though. I mean, I think when people say you found your voice, whether it be for 2 years or 10 years in, it's when you snap to being present on stage.
Yeah.
It's when you're cognizant of the message you're conveying.
Yeah.
And then you're also having a good time, and they're not quite getting it.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
nice to
yeah.
be on the side
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
So I guess, especially the reason I'm having you on the show is you have a certain gift of being incredibly honest on stage. I mean, some folks that don't get the honesty or uncomfortable will be read as
I
visceral.
call it uncreativity.
Uncreativity and
I'm
honesty.
just too stupid to think of jokes about cereal. I can't do it.
But if you look at what the best comics are, though, is that they're thinking about the hardest parts of their lives. You bring up your kids. You bring up the hard parts of. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
How has comedy affected your family in a positive way?
Well, in lots of ways. Like, I can say that my kids, in growing up with me doing stand-up, it has made them more, I think, funnier. Like, they're brilliant. They're so edgy.
They're getting the point.
Yeah, they get the point. Well, they are, like, they're wicked funny.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, in a brutal, weird way, too. They're really, really funny. Like, this is awful. But, okay, I just got in a fight with my cousin, and she says something shitty about my last house. You know, I'm moving, right?
Yeah.
So the last house I was in, I left it kind of a mess. That's the truth. And she says to my daughter, well, people shouldn't leave a house like that, you know, if the landlord gives her a bad reference, blah, blah. So she's judging me, right? And then my son hears about this, and he says, oh, yeah, well, guess what, Jenny? People shouldn't get a lap band surgery and then still gain 60 pounds. I was like, yeah, that's right. And that's my son. Like, no bullshit, like, super, like, they have humor that's like a knife. And sometimes I think, maybe I'm not doing comedy for myself, but maybe for them. Because it's given them so many good...
Would you want them to be comics themselves?
I think one of them is going to do it. Yeah. I think my youngest one is going to do it because he's super, super funny. And very, very dry, very tough. And yeah, but they have like a scalpel for like descending like on bullshit and cutting it away. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm really
Well,
proud
as
of
a
them.
comic mom, that's almost. Do you think that's genetically instilled, or do you think that's more? Do you think that's nature or nurture, or maybe both?
Maybe both. I don't know. I know my parents were funny. My mom is a hopeless drunk and a manipulative, like she's just caught in all this sludge
Yeah.
and negativity. But when you get her like out in public, she turns on this charm and she's super funny and everybody loves her. But that's not really her. Then and then my dad is like super dry and witty, and he's a teacher. And then when he found out that I was doing comedy, all he could ask me was, "Are you going to tell some jokes about me? You going to tell some jokes about me?" And I'm like, "Dad, I know you wanted to be a comic, but you chose teaching because he still gets to be up in front of people."
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I view comedy sometimes too. Is like I'm a teacher. Like these are like kind of like children. Kind of, you know,
Absolutely.
they just need to be led, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's how I got into this. I got into comedy. I mean, getting over my anxieties in student teaching. It's like that's
right.
what I feel.
remember you saying that. Yeah.
Do you feel that the audience is more important or your message is more important?
That's a good question.
A lot of comics sacrifice one or the other.
Right. I try to. It's doing the kind of comedy that I do. I have to like kind of work that balance where I'm satisfied and they are satisfied, where they get what they paid for, but I'm also fulfilled as an artist. Right.
Reciprocity.
Right. So like when I was in, let's say I was in Texarkana, and you know Bible Belt, whatever, and you can just tell when you walk in a room, you know that this place is kind of conservative. You know, kind of got that vibe from these people, and I knew that I could have made different material choices. But then again, I thought before I went on stage, I thought, how often is it that I get to talk to people? Like most of the time, I'm preaching the choir.
Yeah.
How often do I get to talk to people that don't have my political point of view or don't
Exactly.
share any kind of my point of view? And I use like humor, or I think humor can be like a back door to like leaking into, oh, God damn it. It hurts on the feet.
It does.
Dead.
The bones in the feet.
Oh, they're all rattling. Every single bone in there is like, oh.
I was impressed you picked the foot, by the way, for an interview. That's pretty damn ballsy. That's very Christine Levine of you, by the way.
Not even bat an eyelash.
No, top of the foot.
I'm just like a child. I just have no. I just
Candy,
go,
hell yeah,
I
throw
just
it in your
go
mouth.
for it. Whatever.
Well, that's what. Do you think that defines the best comic, though? People that are willing to sacrifice 5 minutes from now for the moment right now?
Oh yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. Is that yes, you have to like. I knew that like I couldn't. I should not have done maybe my abortion material
Yeah.
in this Bible Belt room, you know. But then I thought, I'm always preaching the choir. I never get a chance to do this. I know this joke is gonna fail. I know it's gonna be like make people uncomfortable. And then I thought a little bit like, well, how would I save it? How would I get my show back on track? And so that one was just for me. But then I got everything back on track. Started flirting with this fat drunk guy in the front. Boom. Started telling my dick jokes again. Got him. But I still did my abortion joke, which I wanted them to hear. I want them to like me and still know I killed the baby. Whatever.
But your humor line is so honest and so palatable that do you think that's the reason that people have a tough time with it? That they know it's real?
Oh,
They know
yeah,
for a fact it's real. It's not. This is not a bit at all. This is Christine's life.
That's so funny you said that because, yeah, I really feel like the difference between me and a lot of comedians is that the audience can tell that they're kidding and I'm not.
Yeah.
Everything I say is, like I said, it comes from, I think, a lack of creativity. I just say, no, this happened to me.
No, but that's. I mean, my comedy's the same way. I talk about my family, how weird my life's been. I mean, how
Right,
crazy.
I just can't think of anything else.
When I do a joke, it feels inside. It feels like I'm cheating myself.
Yeah. Oh, I want to ask you this though. Do you ever like have you ever changed a joke off the truth a little bit to make it funnier? I have done that recently. I'll tell you how.
I've just done that recently because the bit wasn't working. I was
Yeah.
trying to make it more palatable because people just don't get about how certain things affect others. People just don't. People confuse empathy for apathy.
Yes.
And you have to trick them with your story.
That's exactly what I just did. That's exactly something that I
You're like, I'm
learned.
not going to feel for that person, but I'll feel bad for that person. So if you can trick them into feeling bad for
So
somebody,
that's what I did. I
you
had
can
to
bait them
change
into
it.
feeling bad about it.
Yeah, I had to change a perspective. I was like talking about my cousin and how I made fun of my cousin, but then they were like, "Oh, we don't like you doing that," you know. And then I changed it to my grandma making fun of the cousin, And then all of a sudden they were just like, oh, that
Yeah.
stupid old lady. But secretly, I know it's actually me. Ah, God damn it. Oh.
How old were you when you got your first tattoo?
30, I think, and it was my beads. So,
Did
yeah.
it represent the kiddos or anything?
Oh no. Okay, I tell you why I got the bees. I started with this because bees. Okay, the Chinese. I guess I read the story. Chinese were trying to figure out how come bumblebees can fly when they're so fat, their little wingspan, you know, and they're not supposed to fly mathematically. They just way too much for those little tiny wings to do it. So they tried to figure it out, couldn't figure it out. Finally, just said, "Fuck it." The bumblebee can fly because no one said that they can't. No one told them. So that's kind of why I got that is why I got the bees, because I thought no one tells me I can't do something, and then I automatically just assume that I can.
Well, you got your start in radio, primarily, isn't that where you?
No, well, I
Because
started.
that's where my pop culture references for you to start with. Is
Sure.
I knew you from radio.
Right. No, I was a comic much like years before that, and then I was a guest on a Marconi show on
That's where I
right.
recall you from.
Right. And then let's see. Yeah, so I was doing comedy before that. But I guess so. That's kind of where. Yeah, I mean, and then I just did little tours, whatever. But you know, that's when my kids were little too, and I was still working at the porn store, so I had to kind of stay local. I couldn't travel like I can now.
You have quite often a barrage of material that talks about your former day job.
It's terrible.
I know you have a lot of a billion moments you like to talk about, but do you have a favorite moment working at a porn shop? Like
Well-
not good, not bad, just that one sticks out a bit more as enjoyable.
Cut it off. Just cut off the foot, tattoo it, bring it back. It'll hurt less.
I'm trying to meditate because I'm getting booed up, so I'm trying to
Yeah, stay focused.
power forward.
Oh,
You got it 10 times harder than me.
no, it's so
I got
bad.
my delt. I'm just
Fucking
doing my
bad.
delt.
I feel like that dude in that picture right there with the fucking spear through his face.
Yeah, you know.
A favorite moment. Well, I mean, there's like the time I found a dead guy. There's big shit like that, you know.
Please,
It happened.
please expand.
Whoa.
Jeremy and Joanne don't know about the dead guy, and I've only heard it once.
Oh, just this. You know, people drop dead places, right? And sometimes they do it in a Jack Shack. Okay, so the dead guy, he comes in and then gets what I call a homo Happy Meal. It's like a condom, a popper, you know, those inhalant things, and a little pillow of lube. Ah, fire! And then he disappears for a while, and then the light goes up. You know, when you're masturbating in the Jack Shack, you put money in the wall, and there's a light outside that lets us know that the money is being, you know, spent, whatever, and the porn's being watched, whatever. And then when that light goes off, you got to put more money in to make the light on. It's like you're renting the room.
Yeah.
So then when his light goes off, one of our regulars, I call him Senor Nothing because he wears hot pants and like a mesh t-shirt. He's a little Spanish guy, and he just goes, I go, what are you doing? He goes, nothing. And he shakes his ass everywhere. Anyway, so he comes out and he goes, I think there's something wrong with this guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So we go back and check it out. And then my other clerk was like, yeah, this guy the light's not on. And I said, no problem, I'll take care of it. It's always a junkie, whatever. And I open up the door, got the key, open it up, and I see his shoulder just like this. And it's so still. And by the way, I was going to quit the porn store and go produce that show on the radio. So this was like, I had 5 days left of my job. This was it. This was the end. I worked there all this time, graveyard shift, never found a dead guy. And I was just, and my other clerks had, you know, and I felt like, it's kind
You felt
of
left out a little bit?
A little bit. It's kind of a badge of honor when you find a, you know?
It's that
for a
Stand
porn
By
clerk.
Me moment kind
Yeah,
of thing.
kind of.
I know dead body. It's in booth 3. You want to go touch it?
You want to go touch it? Okay,
Poke
so
it with his stick.
that's so funny.
All the fun.
Yeah, so what happened was, so then I just see it and I look at him and he's got his pants down around his ankles and he's dead, so dead. I was like, okay, fine.
So
And
is
I
it true?
shut
He still got bone? Did he still
No,
got bone?
no.
I didn't
No
know
more
because
bone. No.
in the Clerks movie, like she sat on the dead guy, wrote him
Yeah.
out, so I didn't know if it was
There
true.
was, that's not a real thing.
Mythbusters, kids.
So then I shut the door though, and he was naked. He had been masturbating or whatever. And I shut the door, and the Senor Nothing guy, he goes, He goes, oh, is he sleeping? And I go, yeah, we're just going to let him. And he goes, oh, I'd be so quiet. And I'm like, okay.
He's going to the big Jack Shack upstate
Yeah,
for the farm.
Yeah, and then I called 911. This is the best part, though. I called 911, and the 911 dispatcher was she was such a fucking bitch. She was so bad. She said, I said, hey, I've got this dead guy at Fantasy for Adults Only. Can you come get it? Like, it's a sack of shit on my doorstep. Can you pick it up? So, it's bothering me. Yeah. Before it stinks up my house. Come on. And she goes, well, how do you know he's dead? And I said, well, I tickled him and he didn't laugh, so I'm pretty sure he's dead. And she goes, well, I just don't know how you're qualified to diagnose someone as dead. Are you a doctor? And I said, I just told you I work at a fucking porno store. Why would a doctor work at a porn store? And she goes, finally she just goes, fine, I'll send somebody to pick him up. And I was like, right? And then the EMTs came and they were just like, well, he's dead. And I go, I diagnosed him properly then.
You have the capability of being a doctor.
Yeah, and then you should have seen like the other guy, that guy in the mesh outfit, you know, Senor Nothing. You should have seen his eyes when the guy gets brought out on the gurney in the body bag. This whole time he thinks that he's sleeping. It was fantastic. Oh, and I went back and I stole $35 out of the dead guy's wallet. Yeah. Okay. To be fair.
To be fair.
Listen.
Asterisk / caveat.
I went back in the room before the first responders came because
To make sure he wasn't dead.
no, I didn't give a fuck about that. Not even to do CPR, baby. Not even. But I went back in because I had a moment where I was like, what is this guy's name? Like, who is he? And then I went in and I grabbed his wallet and found his name, Andrew. He was 52 years old. I was like, oh, hey, Andrew. And then, well, there's $35 in there. And I'm like, you're not needing that. And I just took it.
The coroner would have taken it.
Like, I didn't take his credit cards. I'm not an asshole.
You didn't take the picture of his wife or anything.
No. He's taking it out. And I thought, what's his wife going to do anyway, right? Is his wife going to be like, excuse me, my husband came to the porn store for $35. I'd like it back. Where is it? Right? So
Makes sense.
I took the $35 and I split it with my coworker, Josh. So we each got $17.50 out of it.
Not bad.
No, it's a nice
Good
day's
pay.
work. Yeah.
That's better than most showcase gigs.
Yeah, right? God damn it. And ChristineLevine.com, Facebook, I don't know. Just Twitter, Christine Levine with a K and an E on all of it. Oh my God.
Permanent comedy would not be possible without Martian Arts Tattoo Studios at 3352 Southeast Hawthorne Avenue. Please visit them at martianartspdx.com.